right. Welcome back to the Know Your Numbers REI podcast. Your host, Chris McCormack. This is your first official episode of 2025. We released one last week as well as the week prior that were reproduced. We took some time off for the Christmas holiday and then for New Year's, and now we're back at it, ready to help you and serve you and grow your understanding. Today's is actually very relevant to current events. We will be addressing what's known as the Corporate Transparency Act and what's taken place over the past couple weeks. They've been throwing a lot of confusion at us, and it provides all the more reason for you to be equipped with the right professionals in your corner so that you can make quick decisions, confident decisions, educated decisions, because have you not had those, you could find yourself in trouble. Maybe not this time, but in the future. Before we get actually into the topic of conversation, I'd like to remind you that if you get any sort of value out of this, please go ahead and subscribe, give us a rating and review, preferably 5 stars, so that other people can get in the game and start to listen and hear more about tax strategies, real estate tax strategies, business tax strategies. Obviously, if you're getting value out of it, somebody else can surely get value out of it, and we love to see those. And if you have any topics that you'd like to hear, you can leave a comment on Spotify, you can leave a comment on YouTube, you can even reach out to me on Facebook profile and Instagram profile are in the show notes. So please, I'd like to hear from you guys. Love to hear updates or topics that you want covered. We know that there are concerns and questions that everybody has, and sometimes we address them, sometimes we don't. So if there's questions that have not been addressed, or maybe you don't know if they've been addressed, feel free to reach out. And also, we are officially on YouTube. So if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube page, we've been on it for a couple months now. We're really aiming to increase our video content. It's a great way to get to know us a little bit more, get to know what we're about, see us face to face, if you will, and also to add a little more value. Video content is big in these days, and we want to be a part of that and help you every way we can. So all that aside, today's episode is how to make sense of what's going on with the Corporate Transparency Act and beneficial ownership information reporting. If that's new to you or you don't even know what I said, well, listen up. You're in the right spot, because this is very important for all people, all business owners, all LLC owners, all investors and entrepreneurs alike. Now, let's take you through a little bit of history. The Corporate Transparency Act, I believe, was passed in 2021 by Congress. It was a part of a bigger law that passed. If you have been up to date on some of the happenings in DC, you might know that a lot of times when a bill gets passed in the Congress, it's not just one bill that's passed. It's a whole host of different bills that get passed, and this was part of a larger bill. And in that large bill was what's known as the Corporate Transparency Act, which requires what's known as beneficial ownership information reporting. Now, that might sound like a lot of words that we don't need to worry about, but actually this has implications on just about anybody who owns an LLC. So what the government has said is that through the Corporate Transparency Act, everybody who is a beneficial owner of an entity in the US that basically has an EIN number, you have to file this reporting. And it basically, their idea behind it is to combat money laundering and illegal business activities. They find that this is the best way to combat the illegal activities, which when you think about it, it's like, okay, if somebody's laundering money or participating in human trafficking, which are some of the things that are, I believe, referenced in this law, are they really going to be paying attention to the Corporate Transparency Act and making sure that they get things filed, or are they going to find a way around it? The latter is probably more true than the former. So then it's like, okay, what's the play here? And when you ask yourself what the play is, you quickly find out that actually, if you don't follow these laws, these rules, these reporting requirements, you are susceptible to fines of $500 per day and up to $10,000 as a total fine, or 2 years in jail. And we've covered this, and you can go back and listen to some episodes about what it is and why they're doing it and what you need to do. But recently, so in December of 2024, there was one decision made by a court in Texas that said that the Corporate Transparency Act may be unconstitutional, and therefore reporting requirements don't need to be followed. Because it might be unconstitutional, this was far more reaching than just Texas. It actually had impacts on all citizens who were once subject to the reporting requirements of this law. So court in Texas rules that the Corporate Transparency Act may be unconstitutional. That forces it to go up to a higher court, who then has to rule in favor or against what this previous court, this Texas court, ruled. And so, funny enough, December 23, 2024, a lot of people are on holiday. A lot of people are enjoying time with family. They're not too concerned about current events. I know for me, I tried to step away from current events, podcasts that I keep up on, news sources that I keep up on. I tried to step away from that sort of thing during the holiday season, but the courts were still in session. and in a matter of days from what was a potential unconstitutional ruling from a court was then overturned, and the court that it went up to said, nope, actually reporting is required. And mind you, the deadline is January 1st, 2025. So had this remained in effect, all of those clients, all of those customers, all of those business owners who saw that the Texas courts had ruled in favor of the taxpayer, in favor of the business owner, saying that this is unconstitutional, all of the people that saw that ruling and figured, okay, I don't have to report, at least I don't have to report yet because it has to go up the litigation line. Now they're subject to a ruling that comes over a time where most people aren't in tune with the current events. Most people aren't checking their business email. Most people aren't checking what's going on in the business because they're enjoying time with family, celebrating the holidays and taking some time away after what is always and seems to be ever more a busy year. And so the ruling that was on December 23rd, 2024 basically said, okay, everybody that hasn't filed actually now has to file for the January 1st deadline, or you're going to be subject to those fines that were coming prior to this ruling from the Texas court. And so as a CPA, as a business owner, as an accountant who puts stuff out there and puts clients, helps make confident decisions with their clients based on the information we have, there were clients, there were taxpayers that we said, yeah, it looks like this is actually going to be overruled. You don't need to file if you have not yet filed. There were times prior to that I said that we should probably file anyways because this could be overruled at any time and they could backtrack to the dates that were original. So some people did receive that insight, but after talking it through with others and coming to a more detailed conclusion, there were some people that received the advice like, okay, we don't need to file right now. We're going to continue to monitor it. And then the courts throw this at us and they say, basically, in the next 7 days, you have to get this filed or else you're going to be subject to fines. And so we're scurrying around, we're running and trying to get in touch with those people that we might have led to put it off a little bit more. And wouldn't you know, after Christmas goes by, I believe it was December 27th, another court rules and says that we're going to put this off until March. We're going to put this off and get a more succinct ruling out there so that people will actually know what to do. Because can you think of it? And we're not the only ones that are giving advice or telling people what to do. We received emails from financial advisors, lawyers, notifying people that the original ruling was actually null and void, essentially is what they said, but truly it wasn't. They were just pushing it off to I believe the legal term they used was an injunction. So they were pushing it off to have it go up to a higher court, and therefore the higher court would then rule. And oftentimes these things take months. Okay. My dad started his law practice. He's been involved in the court systems all his adult life. And I have seen through watching my dad grow in his career that court cases take months, if not years, to finalize. And so for courts to come to decisions quickly is very often unheard of. And yet here we have this court ruling that it might be unconstitutional and then a quick turnaround. I don't think a month passed from when we heard that beneficial ownership information reporting could be unconstitutional to actually know it's still required and get your filings in by January 31st. And then we had another 4 days pass until the court ruled that we need to push it off until March. So as you can see, this is quite frustrating for a professional in the industry. Imagine being a taxpayer who doesn't want to stay on top of these types of things and they're getting thrown every which way and don't know what to believe, because most taxpayers, most people we talk to aren't happy about reporting this stuff. One, it just seems like another compliance thing to do. It just seems like they should already have this information available. And two, it seems like a power grab. If they're charging you $10,000 for not filing this, $500 a day. So if you think about it, 500 in 2 days, that's $1,000. In 20 days, that'll be $10,000. If you don't file it within 20 days, you can be subject to the maximum fine of $10,000. That is bonkers. That is bananas. And yet they're playing it like it's some sort of laughing stock where there's one court ruling that it might be unconstitutional and then another court rules as quickly as they can to say, nope, it's in effect. And actually you have 7 days to come to a decision and to get your reporting filed when people likely aren't involved in their business as much as they would be, say, in the middle of the year or the beginning of the year. It's crazy. And then you have another court ruling that, okay, we need to take some time and push it off to March. So what should you know about this? What should you be aware of? One is that the legal system is confusing. It's chaotic. It doesn't seem fair at times. It seems like they're out to get you, and yet still you can't do anything about that. We cannot take a victim mentality. We cannot raise our fist at the people in power and say, curse you, oh rulers, because you don't consider my needs or my wants or my desires or my wallet or anything, right? We actually do have to be subject to the rule that is in place. Unless it's unconstitutional or if you're a believer, unbiblical, then you have every right to defend your God-given right. So, okay, we know that it's confusing. We also know that we have to be subject to it. What is the law as it currently stands? Well, the law as it currently stands is that this has been delayed and there's going to be a ruling in March. So when it comes to that ruling in March, it could very well be that the court decides that, okay, this law is constitutional. We're going to move forward with it. And now everybody is required to report. And if that's the case, we don't know what the deadline's going to be. We don't know what's going to be required. We don't know when people are going to need to be filed. If it's that 7 days that they had from when the second court ruled to when the end of the year would have hit, then that's a quick turnaround. And so for you, the taxpayer, the person who is responsible for reporting this, I would encourage you to actually report this information. Listen, it's pretty easy information. It's beneficial ownership information reporting. So you have to report who is a beneficial owner in your business. And that would basically be you and any partners you have, you and any other shareholders that are in your business. Now, some businesses are exempt. Chances are it's not you, and it's best to fly on the cautious side here and assume that you are subject to this ruling. If you're not sure, or maybe you go as far as reading it and you still can't determine whether you are or are not subject, then reach out to your tax or legal professional and they should be able to point you in the right direction. But for those who are subject, so this is if you own an LLC, if you own a business, if you're a shareholder, if you're an owner, if you're a partner, general partner, managing partner, chances are that you are subject to this law, and that reporting is right now not required, but it very well could be required because it's only one court that has ruled that it's unconstitutional. The second court that delayed it didn't say that it wasn't unconstitutional. They just said we need more time to think about it. And so this is what my initial feedback was when this initial ruling came from the court in Texas was, listen, get your information file, report it, because it's better to have it reported and find out that it wasn't required than it is to have it not reported, find out that it was required, and then before you know it, it's too late. Because that's what almost happened here when they ruled on December 23rd that it in fact was still in place. It's in line with the Constitution. It's required, and had another court not been there to back up the initial ruling or push off the decision for a few months, then a lot of people, as of this recording, would be paying massive amounts of fines and opening themselves up to jail time, which is insane. So a few things that we can learn. One is that the legal system is confusing. I covered that. And that you shouldn't be trying to understand these things on your own. I see a lot of information out there from influencers on Threads or X or Facebook saying Corporate Transparency Act is no longer in effect. BOI is no longer required. And then they come right back and say BOI is required. Corporate Transparency Act is in effect. And then they say BOI is not required. It's this back and forth game. So make sure that you have somebody in your corner that you can trust that's going to give advice whether you like it or not. It's going to be true advice, honest advice, the advice that's best for you. That is important because the legal system and the tax code are very confusing and not for the layperson. It's like trying to go into a medical field and trying to conduct a surgery on yourself rather than reaching out to a surgeon and getting it done from a qualified professional. This is not something you want to be dealing with on your own, and it's best to have the right people in your corner rather than have to run around and try to find somebody after the fact when you could be owing $10,000 or facing jail. Number two is that nothing's guaranteed, right? Again, I'd go back to all of those messages that I saw, posts that I saw about beneficial ownership information reporting, not required. And then 5 days later saying beneficial ownership information is required. And then 5 days later saying, no, it's not required, delay till March, nothing is guaranteed. So in that stance, it's best to one, be as equipped with information as you can be, right? Our best clients, they come already knowing certain things about the tax code. They come knowing that you can write certain things off. They come knowing that real estate is a great investment. They come knowing that cost segregation is possibly opportunistic for them and can save them tens of thousands of dollars in taxes. But they don't want to take their own expertise or perceived expertise for Bible and then go according to that. They want somebody in their corner that they can bounce ideas off of. So when nothing is guaranteed, it's best to be able to come alongside other people and understand and try to see if there's any blind spots. If nothing's guaranteed and you're taking something that you think is guaranteed and taking it to the bank, and then it turns out that it wasn't, well, you're now out of luck, right? It's not somewhere you want to be. So having somebody that's going to be in your corner, help making decisions that you feel confident about, but also warn you when you're making decisions that could be detrimental to you, that is what you need in this season, and especially in a season of fast-paced decision-making that we're currently in. I mean, these decisions were made in a matter of days, which is unseen and unheard of when it comes to the legal system. And things can change in an instant. Like I said, when this first came out, I was like, wait a minute. It says that it may be unconstitutional. That doesn't give me any sort of confidence. And then I probably made some bad calls by going with the information that I came up with after meeting with some other people of saying, nah, we don't need to report that. I admit that probably wasn't the best decision. I think I should have gone with my instinct and remained in the position of, it says it may be unconstitutional. And so that doesn't provide me with the confidence that it's not required. And at any moment, this could change. And same thing goes with certain things in the real estate market, right? At any moment, things could change. So what's your backup plan? At any moment, the industry could collapse like we did in 2008. At any moment, and something like Airbnb can pop up and now short-term rentals are on the market. At any moment, people can be out of jobs or working remotely and now they can rent or invest in properties at any location. What is your backup plan? What is your plan of attack to combat these things or to work alongside these things, right? Opportunities, threats. You should have SWOT analysis for your business, for your investment properties, for the industries that you're in. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. It's one of the best business exercises that you can do. And it's humbling too. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your opportunities? What are your threats? Because things can change in an instant, right? We in the accounting industry, we're looking at a president who is very much in favor of low taxation. He's even pitched the idea of no federal income tax. It's something that's been around, that has happened in the past. And so if there's no federal income tax, what does that mean? That's a threat for our business. So what are we going to do? Are we going to wait until that comes, or are we going to start to think about it and consider it and think about alternative plans of action if that is to pass? Same thing goes for you. You should be on the ready, on the prowl, if you will, looking for opportunities, considering threats, and trying to make decisions that are best for your business. And it's best to do it with somebody in your corner. So if you're looking for somebody to be in your corner when it comes to taxes, if you've been confused, fearful, or maybe this was the last straw, maybe this Corporate Transparency Act stuff was beyond you, you want nothing to do with it, you don't want to put up with the confusion and the ups and downs of the legal system, the tax system, reach out to us. We are currently taking on new clients for 2025. We'd love to see if it's a good fit for you. We work well with people who are looking to grow, who want to make decisions quickly, who want to make decisions that they feel confident about. They're fed up with the lack of responsiveness from their current CPA, or maybe they don't even have a CPA and they just want to get started on the right foot. We'd love to talk to you, and we'd love to see if we have a good fit for you. Until next time, God bless you and keep moving forward.